I really regret that on occasion, I would fly off to him.
And I was like cutting myself.
He left me. I really did believe that he was gonna be here for the long run.
I couldn't handle it, you know. I was the soft rapper from Philly, and he was Pac.
Right.
I got into an entanglement with August.
Will Smith winning for King Richard. But personally, I thought his best performance in the past year has been being okay with all of his wife's boyfriends.
I'm not feeling great, like mentally or physically.
The Fresh Prince Will Smith's mental health has been brought into question recently, and for good reason, because the slap on Chris Rock was just the tip of the iceberg. So in this video, we're gonna go through and have a deep dive into the reasons behind that slap and Will Smith struggles with mental health. If you don't know who I am, my name is Saramed and I am a doctor working in London. I make videos on celebrity health. If that's something you're into, hit subscribe so you can stay informed. Now let's talk about Will Smith's mental health in recent years. The cracks really are showing, and one of the first public signs of that was when he went on the Red Table show with his wife Jada Pinkett Smith in 2020. That's when she announced that she was seeing and had a relationship with August, who is a rapper and Will Smith's son's best friend, or one of. Now take a look at the moment that she told him.
You need to say clearly what happened.
And I got into an entanglement with August. That's what I said.
An entanglement?
Yes. Yes.
A relationship?
Yes, it was a relationship. Absolutely.
Now the couple had previously mentioned that they have an open marriage and that having other relationships would be part of that. But there are a few reasons why this one in particular hurt Will, and I'm going to go through those reasons now. So their conditions for this open marriage would be that they would have the primary relationship and that it would mainly be a physical exploration with others. And Jada, when she mentions her relationship with August Alsina, talks about having this emotional connection to him and healing him, and this undermines her primary relationship with Will. You can imagine on the background of the fact that Jada didn't want to marry Will in the first place.
But I just knew, I was like, I never wanted to be married.
And that she doesn't believe in monogamy. She only married Will because her mom told her it was a good idea, and she's still in love with her ex Tupac, that this would open an old wound for Will. Now, the second reason why I think this is particularly difficult for Will to manage is the reasons why she entered into that relationship with August, and that was, she mentions, to feel good again. Now, zooming out, Jada never believed in monogamy, as I mentioned before, because one of her family members had been in a consensually non-monogamous relationship. Over the years, Jada had mentioned this with Will, and she'd sold it to him under the guise of trying to achieve relational perfection by a non-traditional means of connection where they build a trust which transcends any kind of other relationships that they may have. Now, looking back into her reasons for being in the relationship with August, take a look at this clip which shows that.
With August, what do you feel like you were looking for?
I just wanted to feel good. It had been so long since I felt good.
Husband, now I got to be with you at the press conference while you tell the world about your transgression.
Now, looking at that clip, you see it's all from her perspective. It's all about healing her. And she can see that this is hurting Will, but she doesn't acknowledge it from his perspective at all. So you can imagine how, if he's any kind of insecurity or lacking self-confidence he may have in that relationship, which could be plenty considering the background, would be amplified by that situation. And we see the impacts of that on Will moving forward. Because you can't underestimate the mind-body connection, and actually plenty of times you can see from someone's body and how it changes the way that their state of mind is and what's going on in their head. So before this whole red table event, you can actually see that Will is in some of the best physical shape of his life. So take a look at this video that he posted during lockdown on the training he was doing at home. So that was March 2020. Then July 2020, the red table talk happens, and less than 12 months later, you can see that he's in the worst physical shape of his life, and his psychological state deteriorates in tandem with that, as you can see that he confirms in this video.
And I'm not feeling great, like mentally or physically.
And you can imagine how that psychological deterioration could be amplified by the fallout of the red table news in society and how that went back to him. I mean, look at the BAFTA Awards comedy show.
Will Smith winning for King Richard. But personally, I thought his best performance in the past year has been being okay with all of his wife's boyfriends. What? Come on, he didn't show up. You can't use COVID as an excuse anymore.
And you can say that, Will brought this on himself. He agreed to the open marriage. And actually, it's likely that Will slept with other women during this relationship as well. But the difference was that he was not afforded privacy, which he actually gave to his partner. He was pressed many times to try and reveal who he'd had relationships with. There were lots of rumors about him being with Margot Robbie, for example, when they were on the set together, and even some pictures of them which looked intimate, but he never confirmed that, never publicly, and that respect had not been afforded to him in return by Jada. Another interesting point is that he's even admitted of feeling ashamed of not living up to the legacy of his former self. Like the Fresh Prince would be ashamed of who he's gone on to become. Take a look at this clip.
And this asshole looking at me like, he looking at me like, shit, during my day, this bullshit wouldn't be happening. Like, during my day, we dropped that shit in 6 weeks. That's what he's saying. He's like, I feel like I'm disrespecting his legacy.
It's like his reality has not shaped up to be what he'd expected it to be, and that he's not living up to the legacy that he had built the foundations for himself. And on occasions, that's led to him wanting to take even his own life.
That was the only time in my life that I ever considered suicide.
But that's just what's happened in recent years, so he actually has even more psychological pain to add to the mix. So when he was growing up, his father actually had abused his mum, and Will had felt like he can't do anything about that. He vowed to never be a dad like his father, and even on occasions when his dad was getting unwell later in life, he'd even thought about killing his father and pushing him down the stairs. He'd had those thoughts. He had so much pent-up hatred and aggression towards him, which he'd said in the Best Shape of His Life series.
One night, as I delicately wheeled him from his bedroom toward the bathroom, a darkness arose within me. The path between the two rooms goes past the top of the stairs. I could shove him down and easily get away with it. I'm Will Smith. No one would ever believe I killed my father on purpose.
Now, because of that abuse that his father had done to his mum and the psychological impact on him, he wanted to be a great dad for his children. So when his first child was born, he actually said to himself that he's got two options. He's either going to be the best dad in the world or he's going to be dead. And he really, really wanted the former for his child, even though he didn't know if he could live up to those expectations. So he tried his best and he tried to look after them to the best of his ability. And his children are quite successful, but they have had issues with themselves. So Willow Smith, who's his daughter, has had issues with self-harming, which she admitted on, also on the Red Table show. I'm seeing a trend here, Jada. And then his son, Jaden, also wanted to be emancipated at 15 and leave the house, for which Jada then said, okay, well, it's time for him to leave, even though he didn't take her up on that offer in the end, and he decided to stay, which was probably the best idea for everyone. But it shows you a little bit about Jada's avoidant and self-centered personality, her reaction to her son saying he wanted to leave at 15.
I was like, he's right. The time is now. He's 15. It's time for him to leave the house.
And also, there's some questionable parenting styles with Willow as well. When she was younger, and she sang I Whip My Hair Back and Forth. After that, she had lots of fashion shoots. One of them when she was underage, and there was a man with a shirt off who's 24 on her bed, and there was a picture of it which was uploaded to social media, and she said that that was totally okay, and that she has a relatively lax parenting style. It doesn't ask them to clean up their rooms because you wouldn't do that to an adult, and so it seems as though the children have struggled to deal with the family environment that's been built up in the Smith household. So overall, I mean, that's just a real summary of the main pain points that Will has based on all of the media information that's present online that I've consumed and done quite a lot of research into. So into my analysis of the situation, I think Will Smith is an extremely talented actor and musician, and has so much potential to offer the world with a positive heart and a good-natured personality. He's suffering a great deal of pain, which unfortunately led him to commit a condemnable act with Chris Rock by slapping him. He's married to a self-centered narcissist who creates a false illusion and pushes Will Smith to act against his own interests under the false guises of relational perfection and endless love. I think that her general unsatisfaction with life, unconventional parenting style, has really affected the children, and so also Will from another angle, especially considering that he vowed to be a great father. And so he must feel like he's failed his children. Will thought that he could handle the aftermath of an open marriage, but the public attention and spotlight he's gotten has been too much to bear, and has led to him not being able to control both his public image and his home life, which is leading him to feelings of hopelessness, depression, and inadequacy. I think Jada is so caught up in her narcissistic image and self-important view of the world that the only way for Will Smith to detach himself from that, regain his public image and self-confidence, is by cutting off the relationship with Jada and pursuing his own journey so that he can regain his self-confidence and be able to parent his children without her intervention in that. So I really hope you've found this analysis helpful. I do think that we are all being quite harsh on Will, and you know, it is appropriate. He did the wrong thing, but everyone makes mistakes at the end of the day, and understanding how much pressure and pain he must be in does help you to sort of see why it all happened. That being said, you know, Chris Rock isn't pressing charges, even though a crime was committed, and Will has publicly apologized, even though you know, you can say that that was not adequate in itself. So if you found this analysis helpful, you may find this video on Billie Eilish and how she's dealing with her Tourette syndrome interesting. So take a look at that somewhere here, and I will see you in the next video. Leave your opinion in the comment section below and stay healthy, stay happy.